You guys all ready to go? Good morning, everyone. I'm George Nottingham. We want to thank you for coming and visiting with us today. Today's webinar is going to cover a couple of different palms, accent palms. I'm going to give you a shot at what those are.
These are Livistona chinensis, the Chinese fan palm, and Chamaerops humilis, the Mediterranean or European fan palm. We will also touch briefly on site operation safety, and we will share some of our procedures and methods that Groundworks employs to help ensure that everyone involved in our installation operations comes home in good shape. This webinar will be hosted by George Nottingham, the president and founder of Groundworks of Palm Beach County and Groundworks, Texas. George has spent decades with the palms we handle, and though he himself will tell you that he learns new things almost every day, his experience with palms is exceptionally broad, and his expertise in the field is a product of having spent thousands of man-hours out on site actually performing the work. During the presentation, all participants will be muted. However, your questions and comments are vital to the total experience. So please, if you have a question or comment, hit the button that raises your hand and type your question into the chat. Once George has completed the presentation, he will invite participants to unmute. But remember, we cannot unmute for you. You have to do that yourself. Once you have, everyone will be able to hear you, and George will do his very best to answer your questions. Thank you for listening. Now here's George.
I'm George Nottingham. My company is Groundworks in Palm Beach County. We operate here in Palm Beach County, Florida. We also operate in Alvin, Texas. We're producers, and we're also installers. We understand the challenges that contractors face out in the field. That means we understand the challenges that homeowners trying to do it themselves face. Our mission is to see to it that every single palm we install ends up looking fantastic, not just on day one, but in the months and years afterwards. My goal here in producing these webinars is to help you, whomever you are, achieve real success on site and do it consistently. Not just consistently, but also efficiently. All of us are working for a living. If you're in the landscape industry, you deal with challenges that most folks just couldn't possibly understand. It's a super competitive environment. All of us are competing with all of us. And the bottom line is that the environmental and cultural challenges are tough enough. The competitive challenges, they make it even tougher. So what you've got to be is efficient. You've got to have your work planned to the point where you're going to do it one time and get it right. Well, my goal here today, and our goal going forward, and our goal during the past 35 years, is to help not just our customers, but our competitors as well, if we can. We want to see to it that every single time some person drives by a job site, no matter where it is, and sees palms on that site, that the only reaction they have is, wow, look at that. Because if we can achieve that, it doesn't really matter where the palms came from. Sure, I'd like you to buy them from Groundworks. But the bottom line is that if they look fantastic out on site, no matter where they came from, just by their presence, they're going to help grow demand. On the other side of that same equation, if the palms are out on site and they look terrible, where you've got two fronds and someone's saying, oh, it's alive. No one cares if it's alive if it's got two fronds. That's not what people are looking for. They're looking for powerful aesthetics. And if the palm doesn't look good on site, then no matter who it came from, no matter who put it in the ground, no matter who the producer was, no matter who the vendor was, there's no way that that palm is going to help demand grow. So from our perspective, we're going to do our very best to help our customers, to help the contractor people that we deal with, to help end users, and definitely to help our competitors if we can. Because we want to make every effort possible to ensure that every single time a palm tree goes in the ground, it performs well. We know that if it performs well, it'll breed new demand, and we know that we have a shot, just a shot, at getting some of those new sales. Let's work together and see what we can do to achieve that as a reality. I'm George Nottingham. I am here to help you. I'm going to compete with you, but I'm also here to help you. Well, there that is, isn't it? Sincerely meant. Our goal is not, well, our goal is obviously to have a successful business, and we work hard to achieve that. But in accomplishing that, we've learned over the years that working together with our competitors, as well as with our customers, is the path to success. And if there's anything that we can do, any information we can share that's going to lead to palms looking better out on site, We believe that'll grow new demand, and just by our presence in the marketplace, we hope to share in that. Now, one of the palms that we produce quite a few of on the farm, and that we know there are quite a few other producers of, is Chamaerops humilis, the Mediterranean fan palm. Mediterranean fans are extremely cold hardy. They will take hard freezes, and I kid you not, in the fields in Alvin where we produce them, we've had freezes in the teens, and the palms almost look like they like it. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. As far as the book's concerned, it says Zone 8. We have seen Mediterranean fans take extended freezes in the mid to high teens. When I say extended, I mean 6 to 8 hours. I don't mean days and days and days, but 6 to 8 hour dips into the mid and high teens with almost no damage at all. It's a kind of accent palm, or a second lower story palm that you can use to dress pool areas, driveways, just any number of applications. They're extremely slow growers. You know, the Mediterranean fans that we have on the farm in Alvin and that you see in these pictures here, these are 13 years old. So, you know, at 7, 8, 9, 10 foot overall, you've got a palm that's already got significant maturity. Now, because the palms are growing out there in Alvin in heavy clay, we produce a palm that's just absolutely mind-numbing. I made a little bit of a video to kind of give you a little bit of idea of the depth of that inventory. These palms, as I said, have been in the ground now since 2006, 2007. What we have, that video is skipping. What we have out here are both green Chamaerops humilis, and also there are quite a few Chamaerops humilis cerriferas. You'll notice that some of the palms demonstrate a kind of silvery looking frond. That silvery appearance is cerifera kind of rearing its head up. All these palms are seedlings. Because they're seedlings, there's always going to be a little bit of variation. The frond itself doesn't vary too much, but the structure of the palm can change somewhat. If we have an idea of what it is you're after aesthetically, we can aim in that direction when we're tagging for you. Obviously, if you need cerifera, if you need the silver, we need to know that. But for the most part, these Mediterranean fans come out of heavy clay on our farms. I know that there are other producers further down in the valley, I mean the Rio Grande Valley, and there are also quite a few producers in Florida that produce Chamaerops. We are a little partial to our own, and part of that is the fact that they move extremely well. Coming out of our heavy clay soils, these palms move almost with no transplant shock at all. It's actually amazing. Coming out of a sandy or a loamy field, you can benefit by root pruning your Mediterranean, we also call them European fans. But coming out of this clay, they move without any issue whatsoever. And of course, you can transition into heavy clay with no issue, or you can go onto a sandy site. But on the farm, we have a little more than 3,600 of these palms grown. So variety, yes. This is what the palms look like when we clean them up. This is how the palms go out after they're ordered. Not really sure how our competitors deal with, their fan palms, their Mediterranean fans, but at Groundworks, we produce extremely heavy calipers. That's a pretty good example of it. For any of you that are familiar with Chamaerops, you don't oftentimes see stems with that kind of caliper, but these things are just beasts. And part of it is the heavy clay soils and the fact that they grow a little slower than they otherwise would, when they're out in a sandy or in a loamy environment. But this kind of aesthetics is what you can achieve. I dropped that water bottle in that picture just to kind of give an idea of how big the palms are. This is a little more spread out. Again, they're all seedlings. And because of that, you're going to find a little bit of variation in the character of each piece. But we have 5, 6, and even some with 7 stems. We also have singles. And again, this is not, our availability is our own, obviously, but we're not the only vendor out there. What I can assure you with our availability is excellent transplant characteristics and a simple reality, which is anything we dig that you're not happy with, no big deal. We'll take that, we'll pop it into a container and grow it out, and it'll go somewhere else. And we'll find another one that works better for you. The goal, very simple. We want to ensure that whatever of these palms ends up on one of your sites, that it looks the way you need it to look to accomplish the goals that you have for the landscape. And we work very hard to accomplish that. No way to call that anything but just gorgeous. And these are just a few of them that I cleaned up, for the purpose of pictures. You can see just in this block, there are, I don't know, I think in this block we have a little over 3,000. And I said 3,600 earlier, but I believe we have a total of a little closer to 4,400 of them. I grew a lot of them because I can send them to Dallas. We can send them to markets that normally you wouldn't think you could use a palm, and create a little tropical beauty in a place where maybe it wouldn't always be the case. Chinese fans are a favorite of mine. Livistona is a very, very cold hardy family of palms. These palms have been through mid-teens and high teens freezes on the farm. When you get a real hard freeze with a Livistona, and provided that it is fully established before the freeze occurs, you're going to get some canopy damage in a really bad situation, extended, 6-8 hours of 14, 15 degrees. You're going to see that whole top brown out. But provided the palm was healthy provided the palm was healthy going into the freeze event, and provided that it was fully established on the site, it's just going to grow a new canopy. These have done that twice. That's what they've seen in their lifetimes. On the farm, we have multis, or doubles anyhow. We don't have any triples, but we have doubles. We have a lot of singles. And I think probably the most exciting characteristic of this palm is what we see, or I'll go ahead and let him in, is what we see in how the fronds actually develop. Come on, let's go. My video's not going. There we go. This is just a block. It's actually a row that we cleaned up a little bit. We're getting ready to dig a whole bunch of these palms. Obviously, the trunks aren't cleaned up yet. When the palms go out on site, the trunks are fully detailed and manicured. They look a lot like a Texas sable. The frond has obviously got more of a flowing tropical characteristic, which is kind of nice. But the frond size is very, very large. Probably one of the important differences is the way they develop as they fully mature out. And as you can see, this is on a site. This was a more tropical environment, but these are in a little bit of shade. And what that's caused the rachises to do is to extend out some and create a really kind of a flowing, very tropical appeal. This is a setting very similar to how we might, like I said, use Texas sables. A lot less expensive. Texas sable is going to cost roughly twice what a Chinese fan would cost. But a lot of the aesthetics that you could achieve with those Chinese fans is really very, very similar. So yes, it's kind of a sales pitch, but it's also the truth of the matter. You can't achieve a look like that with the Texas sable. You get a beautiful canopy, and we have what we call riverside sables actually in the field. They're a lot slower than the Chinese fan as far as the growth rate, so they're not quite as big yet. But that tropical look, that flowing tropical look that you get with the Chinese fan is just, it's hard to beat. It really is, especially when you consider the cost of them versus the alternative. I consider these to be an understory palm. They will get up to 20, 22, 24 foot of trunk after many, many, many years. But the common application is at 6 to 8 foot of clear trunk, and it yields a look after a year on site, something like this. That'll give you an idea of what the fronds look like size-wise. This is a frond off one of our Texas sables, and they're huge. No other way to say it. I won't tell you that one is 6 feet tall. He's not. He's about 5.5 feet tall. But this is the same guy holding a Chinese fan frond. The intention here is just to kind of demonstrate where you're using Chinese fans, you get the same kind of an impact. You get almost the same kind of cold hardiness, and you get just a little bit faster growth rate than we can get out of a Texas sable. But budget-wise, this is literally half the cost. So something to consider where you're looking for an accent palm. Absolutely fantastic inventory. This is a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. Groundworks has made its name in site operations. We specialize in handling very large trees and palms. That requires that we spend a significant amount of time out on site. Those operations are inherently dangerous. We have to work continuously to mitigate the risks. I am very, very proud to say that we've never had so serious an accident on site that we lost someone. I'm sorry to say that I have seen accidents happen with others where people have actually lost their lives. And you know, if you're handling this material, if you're handling really large trees or palms, you have to remember that these are thousands of pounds things that you're hanging up in the air. And if they come down without warning, well, you've got a situation that can turn into just an absolute disaster in a split second. Our safety program at Groundworks is called I Am My Brother's Keeper, and we mean that literally. Our guys are responsible for each other, and they watch out for each other.
The use of PPE is absolutely essential if you want to have safe operations out on site. PPE is personal protective equipment. The combination we use here at Groundworks, it's pretty standard stuff, but it's all very, very important. This gentleman is getting ready to go out on site. He'll be operating on a site operations team doing an installation in Miami, Florida today. As you can see, he's wearing a high visibility traffic safety vest. That vest is something we require anytime we're operating in the yard or out on site. We believe that so long as you're highly visible, and that vest definitely makes you visible, you got a much better chance of going home in one piece. He also has a hard hat on, but that hard hat's not just any hard hat. It's OSHA compliant. It's a very, very well-made piece of equipment. It's designed to protect his head if something comes down on it. And you know, I'll tell you something, I've seen all kinds of hard hats out on site. And the truth and fact of the matter is, if it's not an OSHA compliant hard hat, it's actually dangerous, because the poor guy wearing it doesn't think that he's necessarily at risk if a piece of metal comes down on his head. But the fact of the matter is, if that hard hat is not OSHA compliant, it definitely won't protect his head. If that's the case, you're putting your guy at risk. Spend the money, get good hard hats. You'll also see that Jose has a good pair of sunglasses. Those sunglasses are UV and glare protective. They ensure that regardless of what the sun conditions are on site, he can see what's going on around him. Visibility is critical. Being seen and being able to see, absolutely essential. You also see that he's wearing a two-way radio. That two-way radio is something that we insist on. All of our site operators will always have them. It means that we don't have to yell across the site or try to wave our arms or get someone's attention. Not only does it make our operations more efficient, but it definitely makes our operations safer. Because if something is going on site and Jose sees it, but is too far away to get someone's attention, he can get them on the radio immediately and give them a warning. Now, there's something that we do that a lot of people don't, and that's a safety whistle. You can see it right there around Chucky's neck. That safety whistle gives him the ability, if he sees something that someone else doesn't see, and it represents an unsafe scenario, he's going to blow that whistle. Every other one of our personnel knows what that whistle means. If they hear it, they stop dead in their tracks. They blow their whistles. Once that's occurred, everything that's going on with Groundworks personnel on that site has immediately and instantaneously stopped right dead in its tracks. This gives us an opportunity to determine what exactly caused the alert, and once we've cleared the alert and made sure everything is safe again, you'll hear that whistle go off 3 times. That means let's get back to work. The strap that Jose's got is a brand new strap. Now, we realize that we can't always use new straps, but if you don't inspect your straps and see to it that they don't have rips or frays, believe me when I tell you the day is going to come that strap breaks, and when it does, there's never a good outcome. All site operators, all site foremen, and all owners of landscape companies and people who handle big material should always realize you can't just count on that strap not breaking. You've got to plan your site operation around safe equipment, and one of the most important aspects of that is going to be that strap. All of our men are always in leather boots. They're always long sleeved and have long pants on. There's all kinds of stuff that flies around on a job site, and the simple fact of the matter is, when you're fully protected, you're fully protected. You got to take the time to think it through. You got to take the time and make the investment to ensure that your personnel out on site are going to be fully uniformed in a fashion that not only looks very professional, but that also protects them from the risks that are basically inherent in the work we do. Thanks, Jose.
Safety is something you plan for. It's something you have to think about in advance. You don't want to be out there on site at the last minute trying to figure out how you're going to get this job done without killing somebody. That may sound like a little bit of drama, but believe me, it's the reality. You're taking thousands of pound palm trees and you're hanging them up in the air. They come down without warning. They come down when you didn't mean them to. Disaster. Anything that's under that big palm tree is going to have a day that went from being a beautiful, sunny, great day, everything's fine, to we're calling an ambulance. And hopefully, we're not sending someone to the morgue. It's that serious, my friends. You take a look at those straps. You take a look at the hydraulics on the machine. You pay attention to the other subcontractors that are on site, because honestly, half the time they're not paying any attention to you. You think about where your holes are. You think about who might walk into those holes. The landscape architect shows up on site, wants to go for a little tour, and ends up falling into your 4-foot hole. You aren't making friends. Trust me on that. The simple and long story short is this. You got to think it through. You just got to walk through in your mind what we're going to be doing today, the risks that are involved, and plan for it. Take a look at your straps, make sure they're not frayed. Do a once over on the machine. Do the brakes work? Are the hydraulics leaking? Are you setting up a scenario with your equipment that, well, might just put you in a position where you're going to fail dramatically? Take a look at the site. What kind of access do we have? Can we get through that hole we have to get through? Pull a tape on it. Think it through, my friends, because your mission is to create gorgeous aesthetics on site with those big, beautiful palm trees. That's it. That's the sum total of what you want to accomplish. The other thing you want to accomplish, everybody goes home in one piece. Nobody's injured, nothing strange happened, nothing weird happened. In each day and in every way, every one of you and your people are earning a living, professionally executing, and doing it safely.
And it really is. It's literally everything. You know, accomplishing safety on site is something you just got to kick around and think through. At Groundworks, we have some pretty simple rules, and you know, it's really common sense. I mean, it's really nothing more than that. Every time we're out on site, there are a few things that you're always going to see, and we recommend strongly to everyone that we compete with, to everyone in the industry. High visibility vest means you can be seen. It's just common sense, but it means that whether you're walking around on site or you're directing traffic, no matter what you're doing, other people can see it. That hard hat, if it's not OSHA certified, don't bother, because all it's going to do is give someone confidence in something that isn't real. Something hits one of your guys in the head, and that hard hat is a poorly constructed hard hat. What you have is a disaster you didn't have to have. Eye protection, UV and glare resistant. You know, the sunglasses that you saw Jose wearing in that video are actually safety glasses. We issue both safety and clear, but generally the guys are using the sunglasses because of how bright the sun is. That whistle, that personal alert whistle, 2 times in our history has actually saved someone. It's commonly used well, the guys wear them, but the only time anyone's ever needed one is they were so far away, and essentially cars backing up, someone's about to walk behind it, they're talking, not paying attention. The guy blows his whistle, the other guys blow their whistle, everything holds in place. Disaster avoided. It's a simple way that you can help your people protect themselves. Long pants, long sleeves, leather boots, right? Common sense. Those 2-way radios are expensive. I know they are, and I know that they're not easy to afford. But the simple fact of the matter is when you're out there on site, there's equipment running, there's things moving around and subs doing this and that. If your personnel can communicate with each other easily, the message gets through every time. And believe me, the day will come when that radio saves somebody's butt. It is an absolute fact. Seen it many, many times. And the radios also make things more efficient. So something to consider. Hope that you will. You can look at these slides at any time that you want to later. Safety isn't just about PPE. Okay, those are simple, basic things that you just absolutely have to have. But when you're going out on site to install big palm trees, there's a lot of other things to consider. This list kind of gives you an idea of those. You know, you get it. We recommend this, and this is what we do every time we're going out to do a major site installation. We're going to go to that site well before the install, and we're going to do these things. We're going to meet with the GC or the superintendent on site, introduce ourselves, let them know what we're going to do, tell them when we're going to be there and what our intentions are. We want to know how our site operations might impact other people on site. Knowing those things in advance is really important. We're going to review the 811 marks. Those are those utility marks. If your office hasn't called in and gotten utility locates done, and you're going out to the site to dig 4x4, 5x5, or 6x6 roof wall holes, you don't have any marks, you need to kick it around, because there could easily be something down there. And unless you avoid that, you can either have a huge mess, big disaster, or you can also have a big fat pond. Just cutting a gas line that's not activated and get you a big fat pond. Cutting a gas line that is activated, that's an exciting moment. You're going to go out there, and again, this is what we do. You're going to go out there and walk the ingress egress. You're going to walk the path that your equipment's going to take when you're doing the installation. You're going to look for obstructions that could interfere with the movement of your equipment. Don't just look down, look up, because overhead obstructions can be just as debilitating and dangerous as as ground-based obstructions. So you want to walk the ingress egress and get a good idea of what the equipment's going to have to traverse. When you're actually executing on site, find out where the septic tank is. Find out where the gas tank is. If you've got to roll over those things, you need to try to figure out a better way, because you really don't want to have to roll over something like that. Let's see here. Gas and water lines that are pressurized. Okay, some of these might be marked by your 811 call, but oftentimes if they're up inside the property, they're not. The general contractor or the owner or the site superintendent can help you with this. Oftentimes they're going to know where things are. What you want to know is, where's the cutoff? Where's the valve I got to get to if I have to get to it fast to turn it off? Now, if you cut a gas line and you hear the hiss, the only thing you do is run. You run immediately. You clear the area immediately. If you can get to where you can cut it off, yes, you do that. You don't do it if you have to get anywhere near where that cut is. With a water line, you get a pressurized water line. That's always exciting. You've got a big fountain. You're making a monstrous mess. You look really stupid to everybody else. And you definitely want to find out or know already where the cutoff is. And you also want to know, what tool do I need to turn that valve? Because you want to have that tool on the truck. Review the road conditions. When you're out front and you've got your truck pulling up on site, if you haven't paid attention in advance to where you're going to put the tractor trailer or where you're going to put that other flatbed, and what space do you have for your equipment to operate? Where are you going to put those big palm trees or big trees once you take them off the truck? These are the kinds of things that you need to know in advance. You can figure that stuff out if you go to the job site before the truck gets there. Otherwise, all you're doing is hoping. That's what you're doing. You're showing up on site. Here we are. And we're going to hope it goes right. Can it work? Yeah, it can work. Is it usually a mess? I don't know about usually, but it can oftentimes be a mess. Can it be embarrassing and unsafe? Embarrassing, yes. Unsafe, almost always. So get to the site, take a really good look, and make notes. Don't just go out there and look and try to remember everything. Make some good notes. Everybody has their own ways and means of preparing for safe operation. We do not want to try to purport that our way is the only way, or that we know better than anyone else. I can only tell you what we do. There are 4 steps that we always take in advance of site operations, and it's just before we leave the yard. The first is respecting the straps. The site operators and site leadership are the guys responsible for what's actually going to occur on that site. I can train them until I'm blue in the face, but they are the guys who have to decide whether or not everything's going to go the way it needs to. They're going to go and they're going to take a look at those straps. If those straps that are planned for that site aren't good, if there's anything about them that doesn't look safe, they're out. We always keep a supply of straps. Continuous supply of new straps is an expensive thing to do, but believe me when I tell you, that costs nothing
compared to having a strap out on site and having that strap fail. Strap fails, disaster is pretty common. So you're going to go, we always inspect those straps. We're going to inspect the equipment, take a look at it, make sure the brakes work, make sure the tires are well inflated, make sure we don't have any really bad hydraulic leaks. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that all of our equipment's brand new and we don't have a single leak. Yeah, there probably are, but not hydraulic leaks. Hydraulic leaks can lead to hydraulic failure, and hydraulic failure leads to the load coming down. The only time those hydraulics are going to fail is under a load. So you want to know in advance that your equipment is solid and tight. If it's not, you got to postpone or you got to change the equipment package. But what you don't do is go out on site and hope that that junky piece of equipment isn't going to fail at the wrong time. You also, and again, I realize that this is an expense item, and the owners of contractor companies need to decide if it makes sense for them. For us, having two-way radios is an absolute mandate. I require it because I've seen over the years just how much those radios can mean to efficiency and to safety on site. There are lots of other things you might do to prepare. Depends on the site, the circumstances, what you got going on. But these four things, these are four things that we do every single time. And we believe that over the years, having done these things may very well have avoided a serious accident. We can't gauge what hasn't happened, but I do believe that by following these steps, it's helped us over the years. Whoops. The bottom line behind everything that we all do is we're creating imagery, we're creating aesthetics. That's what we're doing. Our clients aren't buying palm trees, they're buying how they look. And they're not just buying how the palms look, it's everything about the operation. From the moment you pull up to the site until the moment you leave, your client is looking at you. You want to grow your business? Have that client get done writing that check and feel really good about it. That's how you grow that business. Operating safely out in the field, what that means is that you take troops and you train them over years and they become excellent site operators and they want to be site operators on your payroll. That's really all there is to it. If anyone has any questions, Pete, you want to invite everybody to unmute?
Yes, I've just invited everyone to unmute if you have any questions.
Yes, no, maybe. Well, I'll take that as a good sign. Can I assume that no one has any questions? Pete?
I don't see any questions.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, thank you very much for being here. If ever you need us or have any questions, you can always call us at 800-753-5127. You can visit our website at www.datepalm.com. You can also see the farm in Texas at tatfpalms.com. The sites are linked, so you go to one, you can get to both. And thank you very much for your attention. I hope you all have a great day.